Alrighty, time for another video, and in this video it's probably going to be a little bit shorter because the research just came out and it's kind of a first of its kind of not, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I don't know how long this is going to be. It looks very short, but I'll see how long I can drag it out because that seems to be what I'm good at. Anyway, start the intro and I'll see you soon. So scientists from the University of California recently just concluded a 15-long-year research on the effects of sea ice melting, which included the release of a very deadly virus for a lot of marine animals. What they found was phocine distemper virus, or PDV, was released in Arctic sea ice and affects mainly pinniped species, mainly seals. Now, this isn't the first time that they found or this PDV virus was discovered. It was also found in 1988, which caused mass wipage, or I guess kind of killed off a lot of harbour and fur seals in the northeastern European waters. It was then rediscovered back in 2002, killing off North Atlantic seals, and then again found killing off sea otters in 2004. With this information, what the researchers wanted to then look at was how was this virus spreading from different areas and getting into the systems of a lot of these marine mammals. The 15-year-long study uncovered a shifting and reshaping sea ice environment which allowed previously inaccessible pathways for marine animals to travel to become accessible, and therefore spread the PDV virus to other animals that previously would not have been come into contact with said virus. Now, corresponding author Tracy Goldstein has stated that as animals move and come into contact with other species, they carry the opportunity to introduce and transmit new infectious diseases with potentially devastating impacts. Before I get into what is actually happening in the environment and for this to occur, I want to quickly dwell on or go over the phocine distemper virus. The phocine distemper virus spreads through a multitude of different mediums, but the main medium is through respiratory fluids, or through, I guess a better way to say that is through aerosol, or breathing, in other words, the droplets from the breath. How the virus will work is that it will attach itself to a host cell and replicate within the host cell over time, creating more PDV virus within the system and eventually budding off and dying. But before it dies, it typically will kill the host. So the symptoms for PDV will typically include laboured breathing, keratitis, fever, increased buoyancy, and neurological spasms. And once this gets into the system of any type of marine mammal that is unfortunate to come across to it, they will typically die, or if not, spread the virus on most species in that colony. So that's basically PDV. Okay, it doesn't sound great. What's happening? How is this getting into the water? Well, ice has this amazing ability to lock up, or I guess cryogenically store, a lot of material that becomes frozen over time and preserve it to some extent very well. This same preservation theory in ice follows forward towards a lot of bacteriums. In fact, in 2007, scientists were able to uncover and restore an 8 million year old bacterium that was lying beneath the surface in the Antarctic. Now, I'm not saying that all bacteria are invincible. That's not the case. A lot of the time, these bacteria that become unpreserved through time will die because they just aren't able to survive. But that being said, most of the bacteriums that have been unpreserved or that have survived preservation are typically very dangerous. So in this study, the researchers sampled marine mammals for PDV from 2001 to 2016 from Alaska to Russia. They then used satellite telemetry data to link and monitor a lot of the marine mammals that would travel out of the Alaskan sea ice into open water between the North Atlantic to the North Pacific Ocean. Using this procedure, the researchers were then able to identify mass exposure to PDV in the North Pacific Ocean from 2003 and peaking again at 2009. They then later associated this trend with the lack of sea ice or the melting of sea ice and lack of reproducing sea ice extent due to climate change and global warming. No surprise there. To put this into a little bit of perspective, the Arctic sea ice extent reached only roughly 5.88 million square kilometers in October this year and recovered only about 2.59 million square kilometers of ice, as compared to the recover rate of 3.18 million square kilometers of ice in October 2014. This loss and overall lack of reproduction in sea ice extent in the Arctic means that a lot of the less or previously non-accessible places are now becoming more accessible to marine mammals that previously were not able to get there. And what this means is they will eventually come into contact with one another, sharing potential diseases. And these potential diseases could be similar or greater than the PDV. Not only are they coming into contact, but we are also losing large quantities of ice and are unable to recover the required amount to block off these transfer regions, you could call them. With that being said, we've also got bacteria or extremophile bacteria stored up in the ice that is now being released. This is not only just in sea ice, this is also in permafrost, which is an ideal environment for a lot of dangerous bacteria that is now becoming unlocked because of the high temperature and the increase in sea ice decrease. So that's basically it. We've got sea ice melting at rather quick rates. They're not recovering fast enough. We have potential bacterial strains or viruses being planted into the water or already in marine mammals. We've got said areas melting, creating new pathways for species to go through and ultimately transfer those diseases over to other areas that we didn't think were possible. We also have the potential for a lot of these viruses to wipe out some species, although none of this scientifically proven. These are all theories. But if a lot of these viruses make their way into colonies or species and we are not able to control the spread, there's a possibility that that may happen. We also have the possibility that these viruses will transfer over to us. PDV in humans is not great. There's a lot of neurological effects that can happen, as well as nervous system breakdowns. So what they're trying to get at here is that if we continue going down the path of constantly increasing the temperature of the climate, we're going to see some huge loss. Not only in the ability for species to unable to adapt fast enough to said temperatures, we're also going to see environments changing, new bacterial strains being released that were locked up for millions of years, and species dying off or transferring the diseases over to us, be it through the meat that we eat or be it through contact. We're basically playing a real life game of Plague Incorporated.
27-year-old female infected with unknown pathogen.
To finish it off, the lead author, Elizabeth Van Wormer, has stated, this study highlights the need to understand PDV transmissions and the potential for outbreaks in sensitive species within this rapidly changing environment. Yikes. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was something a little different, probably quick, I would say, but very, very interesting, very concerning, since we're actually currently in a climate crisis. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. There will be another one next week. I will decide what that's going to be, see what we can fish out. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you share it around. You educate, don't eradicate. And I will see you guys in another video. Bye.